Hey, hey! It's the Pacific Northwest Geek here. Echo! Cute as a pie! Cute as a pie! Ooh, what kind of pie? Pumpkin pie! Apple pie! Banana pie! What kind of pie? Pecan pie! Hero here! I am back with another review for Zombie Month. This time. This time. If I'm going to be talking about zombie movies, there is one that is a must talk about. It is perhaps the most famous and most influential zombie movie of all time. From George Romero, Russell Steiner, and John Russo and Carl Hardman? I'm talking about the 1968 classic. This movie is something else. It is a special one. But let's talk about the movie. When the movie opens, we meet Johnny and Barbara, some siblings who are going to visit the grave of a family member. There's some problems with the radio, and he's teasing Barbara. But eventually, after they make it to the cemetery, leads to the classic line of,
"They're coming to get you, Barbara." A
line that is, who doesn't know the line? Who hasn't sat there and gone, "They're coming to get you, Barbara." Anyways, they see someone in the graveyard who turns out to be a zombie who attacks and kills Johnny. Barbara gets away, has some trouble with the car, and ends up to flee on foot when she makes it to a farming house. The inhabitants of the house are already dead, but she eventually meets someone else who's seeking shelter, Ben. She meets Ben, who is the hero of our story, and he's also seeking shelter. She's left pretty much catatonic and useless for the rest of the movie. And Ben is left to be the hero of the story, the one who holds everything together. Eventually discover there is 5 people in the basement. The Coopers, a married couple and their daughter, and a teenage couple in their late teens, early 20s, who have been taking shelter in the basement. We find out that they heard something, but Harry, Mr. Cooper, he's our human antagonist. He's our jerk of the story, who clashes with Ben. His whole thing is he needs to protect his daughter, who has been bitten and is not doing good. They need to get fuel for the truck so they can get out of there and get to safety. There is a pump, but the pump is blocked. Ben and the teenage couple are trying to make a go for the pump. Unfortunately, things backfire, and the teenage couple dies in an explosion.
Come on, come on.
My jacket's caught.
And Ben has to make it back to the house where he clashes with Cooper. Meanwhile, in the basement, Cooper's daughter has died and comes back as a zombie and kills her mother. And when Cooper goes down to the basement, he finds the same fate. Barbara eventually sees her brother, who's come back as a zombie, and is pulled out from the window by him to her fate. leaving Ben the sole survivor, who takes shelter in the basement and kills the 3 zombies in the basement, the Koopas and the daughter. We then get, like, the outside, we find some hunters, a posse who's going around killing the zombies. Ben hears them and goes to check out, to see what's going on and try to get their attention, but they think he's a zombie, and they kill him. And then we're given, like, he's dead, and his body is taken to a fire. Now this movie would go on to spawn 3 sequels in Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and Land of the Dead. I don't know how Survival of the Dead and Diary of the Dead, if they're linked to or not. If they are, then they're also sequels. This movie, again, it's very influential. A zombie outbreak, chaos breaking out. I mean, there have been zombie movies before this, like White Zombie. And this movie, again, it's very influential. The whole format of a zombie apocalypse happening and the world being taken over. The slow Romero zombie, which is a slow zombie, not the running zombie that we saw in later films, including World War Z, which I love the zombies in that, and the remake of Dawn of the Dead. This movie has been remade multiple times. With the 1990 remake is the best remake of this. They did a Night of the Animated Dead here not that long ago, and it's a terrible movie. The voice acting is very dry, to say the least. Russo and Romero would go their separate ways, with Russo writing the story, Return of the Living Dead, which eventually would become a movie. However, his story in the movie would be greatly different. And Romero would go on to make the Dead series of Dawn, Day, and all that stuff. There's a lot of movies in games and TV shows. Like I said, you can see the influence. And even Easter eggs. Back 4 Blood, which was released to 3 years ago. Takes place in Philly, which is, I believe, supposed to be the state that this takes place in. Or at least that's where the Romero and them were at. I think they kind of mentioned they're in the area of that. There's even a mission where you make it to a farmhouse, and some of the cleaners, the characters you play, one of them make reference to a zombie outbreak in the late 60s, which of course is talking about Night of the Living Dead. And even in Return of the Living Dead, they reference Night of the Living Dead. The movie's awesome. I've been a big fan of Return, and a friend of my parents, they had a daughter who told me that if I liked Return, I would love Night. Well, she was right. I love the film. That's why I got the Crichton Collection version of it. It is an absolutely awesome movie. I guess I gotta talk about this. It was going to be called Night of the Flesh Eaters at one point, but there was a problem, worried about a lawsuit or threat of a lawsuit, because there was a movie made a few years earlier called The Flesh Eaters. This led to them renaming the film Night of the Living Dead, but they forgot to copyright it, so this movie is in public domain. While you can find it streaming for free on YouTube, that's the original, and you can probably stream it yourself on your channel. Well, some of the music is not in the public domain, so you might kind of get a finger shook at you, because I've known some people who have said that they thought it was okay, only to find out it's the music. Romero, unfortunately, is no longer with us. He passed away a few years ago. But his legacy with this movie and his later films, not just Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and Land of the Dead, but like Martin, Crazies, who in this year, in 2023, is a movie that turned 50. I don't know, it would be interesting to see what would have become of zombie movies had this one never been made or had been something special. Anyways, it's getting a little hot here. We're cooling down a little bit, but it's still hot. So, If you've seen this movie, what are your thoughts? What are your memories about this movie? And also, what are your thoughts on the various remakes and adaptations of this movie? Leave those in the comment. Anyways, I am the Pacific Northwest Geek Echo Zero, and I hope you are enjoying Zombie Month. And I will see you on the meow flip side.
You're finished. Can I see you here?
Yeah, okay.
Chief, if I were surrounded by 6 or 8 of these things, would I stand a chance with them?
Well, there's no problem. If you had a gun...